let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket, that crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, true believers? The rumors are true. Roy G, I did buy a bunch more Blocky yesterday. And for anybody who's wondering, what I did was and by the way, I thought that the price was going to be in a good spot for, there was a possibility that there was going to be some downward momentum because, you know, people were going to sell off because they're babies. And, you know, look, we're a scalp society right now until we get into hodl mode. So what you saw was, you know, some people selling off, and it ended up not being bad at all. Basically, I sold everything on Solana to get into Blocky. And I know, you know, that might not sit well with some other cryptos that I might have a bag of, or who might have mentioned that I had a bag or something like that. But I think that Blocky is probably going to have that next big leg up. So I wanted to be part of it. And in the event that it does, by the way, you never know. You never know what will happen. That's, you know, the reality of cryptocurrency. So it could go way down, but also it could pump. And I think it's following a path, a similar path to what Puff is doing. And there's a pretty good, or at least for me, a pretty solid financial backer behind it, and a team that's locked up, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 million or 100 billion tokens over the last 24 hours-ish. And that seems to me like a pretty good ratio right now. Let me see if I got the number here. There was 100 million tokens were locked up by the whales on their own to show commitment to the project long term. If you remember, anybody who had some tokens for P cubed got an airdrop if you swapped them into Blocky, and it was a 1-to-3 ratio. I want to say 20% were released yesterday, which is why you have that downward pressure. And then randomly over the next 60 days, the remaining 80% of the supply is going to be released. They're trying to slow walk it and make it take a while, because what they're trying to do is protect that price action and make sure that new investors come in order to absorb it. Not only did they do that, but where's Blocky? Right here. All right, pop this up on the screen. Blocky. Well, this, you know what? I hate this goddamn. Every day it seems like this thing changes. And it was on it. Anyway, so Blocky has a video out from Awesome Austin, and he's making his way back into potentially the meme coin game. Now, the reason that he did this was because Roger has been a member of the A team for a long period of time. And if you click on it, you got to be encouraged because there were, I think, 3,000 views. Yeah, about 3.2K views, which would mean that, you know, we add a lot more holders. Now, when you look at the holder count, it didn't really work that way, but I think that it will. Give it a little time. Give it an opportunity to quote unquote populate. You know what I mean? And dude, I don't even. So the other day, I have 3 monitors. I have one here. I have one over here. I have one over here. And I have it always set up over here as this monitor. And since I reset my computer the other day, it just kind of randomly picks a new monitor, even though when you go into OBS, which like OBS is right here, right? When you go into display capture, you double click it and it gives you displays 1, 2, and 3, right? Gives you display 1, display 2, display 3. And it's always and continues to be display 3, never changes. But for some messed up reason, it just continues to do, it just continues to annoy the shit out of me, I guess is what I should say. So yeah, AI is apparently taking over my goddamn computer. Anyway, back to Blocky. And I know we're spending a lot more time on this than what we would normally do, but we've got that. We've got the number of holders, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking to see, we want that big increase in the number of holders. Now, I think there was like 300 and something holders originally, 367, I want to say. And look, I don't have it specific, but yeah, here we go. So on the 14th, yesterday, there were 443. Today, there's 542. Day before that, 413. So you're continuing to see it increase as the days go by. So a couple more holders. So we'll see what happens with this. Now, I do think it's going to be, and my idea here, by the way, is on Blocky is that, I'm not even calling a gigantic run. I'm just calling a decent pump for this next leg up. And market conditions turned unfavorable for just a few minutes, but I think ultimately we just go, we go up here. And look, if it doesn't do anything more than this right here, I will feel like they've accomplished something good. Now, they would not. In fact, they would lose their minds and tell me I'm nuts for that. But, 5 or 6x from where it is right now puts it around 10 million market cap. And to me, that kind of validates people in this market right now. 10 million market cap is nothing to sneeze at, especially when, capital is, by the way, plenty of capital in crypto, but it's very tough to come by in the meme coin space, in the altcoin space, other than if you're a major player. Those have been doing pretty well. When we look at the day here, we're down tremendously, and it's 545 now. It was 400 yesterday. So when you look at it over the course of, this is a month worth or a week's worth, this has been a pretty good run. When you look at it on a month, the major alts have been doing pretty well. And of course, the only ones that are flowing into this range right here, you can see, by the way, like Spell and Carve and IOST, NPC, Waves. There's plenty of them that just didn't run, but even the ones that didn't run a lot, still up 10, 15, 20%. So this has been a very nice, run for major alts for the last little while. So, but anyway, back to the day, Pi dipping precipitously. Everything else just, like the liquidity rotation is here to bring it back into Bitcoin or pull it out for profit. Launchcoin up 31%. Now, look, I didn't have anything with Launchcoin. I showed it to you yesterday, told you that you could get in on it. There was going to be, that launch, of course. And I don't know if you got any or not, but there was an airdrop that we were talking about yesterday. ATH up 13% on the day. Everything else kind of down. You're seeing that liquidity rotation from memes and alts, which generally means going to end up going back into Bitcoin. So nothing to write home about for the day. So we'll move on from there. Fear and greed index is at 70 right now. Pi dipping on news that investors don't like. Investors don't like any news anymore. There's no such thing as good news in crypto anymore. And why? Which doesn't make any sense, by the way, because I'm telling you right now, not Bitcoin, but XRP is headed to 420. All right. It is going to rip in it's going to take maybe a little bit longer, but you have to consider the layout of the land here. We've got about 30 days before a decision has to be made. And that decision that has to be made concerning staking, the staking process. And that staking process is not allowed with Ethereum right now. It's not allowed with Bitcoin right now, but there is a decision that's due from the SEC in which it would be allowed. Ethereum needs to have staking. That's really how it runs. That's why it's a POS. It's a proof of stake model. It's literally in the name of the type of crypto that it is. So Ethereum needs that desperately, but also XRP could use something like that as well. And of course, obviously Solana. So in June, you should see the way being cleared for a staking mechanism to be implemented on a lot of these cryptos to make them worth investing in. And I think it's imperative that they do it. And I think that it will get done. And once that's done, then all of these things are going to be able to take off. So 420 is going to be the next stop for Ethereum or for XRP. And I think that that's going to happen within the next 30 days, because I think that announcement would come out and that would move it in that direction. So I would expect to see something like that happening. Now, the question of the day is, why is the crypto market down today? And crypto market is traversing through a sharp pullback today, largely due to profit taking after a notable uptrend. That surge was previously fueled by lower U.S. inflation data, strong China tech earnings, and optimism surrounding a U.S.-China trade deal. However, investor caution has returned, particularly with the PPI. And by the way, PPI ended up coming up pretty well for the day, ended up being 2.4, which is down to the lowest level since April of 2020. You want good news? You got good news. However, you are being manipulated into believing that the news is perfectly good. Why? And to me, listen, I think it's very irresponsible for people to do this, but it gets done politically, and I don't give a shit. Like, I don't think it's right. But watch your guru. Watch your guru says U.S. core PPI falls to 2.4, lower than expectations. All right, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome, right? However, if you go to the Kobayashi report, the PPI comes in at 2.4. However, core inflation falls to 3.1. However, March PPI inflation, previously reported by the Trump administration at 3.3, has been rotated up to 4.0, and core PPI up to 3.4, which means that the numbers that we're giving out right now are deceptive. Now, what did that lead to? Because the people that are reporting this right now are not being honest with us. What does that mean? Well, it means that something else had to happen today. Jerome Powell came out and issued a public statement today that says that he said in prepared remarks, higher real rates may also reflect the possibility that inflation could be more volatile going forward than the inter-crisis period of the 2010s. We may be entering a period of more frequent and potentially more persistent supply shocks, a difficult challenge for the economy and for central banks. So he's throwing out hawkish statements right now to try to tame the markets just a little bit, because they're on the verge of quantitative easing. And in order for it to not get too crazy and we get another giant bubble, which is what we're probably entering, another giant bubble. And look, the reason that we're entering the giant bubble is because Trump will do whatever bullying tactics he can do on any and everybody. What does he want? He wants those egg prices lower. Are egg prices lower right now? According to the data, yes. According to the stores, no. But that means that the data is probably a little bit ahead of the game, and it's probably based on wholesale prices and not what's being paid at the markets. And there might be some supply issues. So I would think very quickly we're going to see, I think eggs are probably going to settle about $3. So if you're buying eggs at about $2.99, that means it's already kicked in for you. But it's still about $4.99 to $5.99 in most places. So, but when that comes down, that's going to be a big fix, and he's working towards that. Also, working towards whatever other thing there is out there driving it up. Gas prices, by the way, oil prices in the tank today, down to $61 a barrel. $61 a barrel means that we should be paying about $2.39 for gas. Today, gas in my region, $3.40, which means that we are still getting gouged. And by the way, go look at your oil profits. If you don't believe me, go look at the profits, and go look at the profits. Get yourself a chart. Get yourself a chart showing the trend of how much profit is being earned by the major S&P companies or the major Dow companies. Go look at the way these profits are. They're out of control. Okay. So, yeah. But to hear it from the news will say, well, Target's profits were down. Yeah, Target's behind the game. Target didn't have a lot of different things that Walmart had. There's all these different little pieces, and they'll choose and pick apart some of this stuff to make it seem like something is. But this is all about getting more money out of you and pulling that money out of this market. So let's move on here and continue, because Coinbase has been breached, and the data for 1% of the people, compromised information affected less than 1%. Here's the deal. Coinbase has revealed a security breach where attackers bribed overseas customer support agents to access user data through social engineering. The compromised information affected less than 1% of monthly users and included names, address, phone numbers, and limited account details. Importantly, no passwords, private keys, or user funds were accessed. The attacker demanded a $20 million ransom, which Coinbase has refused to pay. The exchange is now working to enhance internal security and prevent future insider threats. So Coinbase, goddammit, has been compromised. So, yeah. And you know what? I don't know about eggs in foreign countries. I don't know how those are playing out right now. I think that it's going to be fine, ultimately. Daniel says, I saw gas at $2.75 in Miami. That's good. See, that's what I'm talking about. We're not seeing that everywhere in the country. When you look at gas prices, they've been very, very sticky. But here's the thing. If there's anybody who's going to go out here and start grabbing executives by the throat, like, what the fuck are you doing? It's going to be Donald Trump. He's going to use the bad part about Donald Trump is that he will use his office to bully people into compliance. But that's also the good part about Donald Trump. He doesn't care, and he'll just do it because, and here, if he's on my side, that's to my benefit. If he's opposed to me, that's to my detriment. That's really how this works out, right? That's politics 101. And for crypto, for the purpose of crypto and for the purpose of the financial markets, I think that he is on my side. So I think we'll see some prices start to come down. We'll see a lot of pieces going in. And by the way, you know, when we break down the fundamental problem with everything, when we break that down, it's going to be greed. It's going to be just absolute greed. Contract address for Blocky is, I'll post it in the chat here. That is the Blocky contract address right here, ends in T3IU. So, yeah. But anyway, by the way, I sold like every little Solana meme coin that I've had, other than I didn't sell my coins check, I didn't sell my CCR, and I didn't sell my blockchain beauties. I didn't sell any of those. I kept those, but I did cash my money out on blockchain beauties because I bought like 3.8 million at launch, and then I made my I made my initial investment back. And then I sold 2.8 million to do that. And now I'm holding 7 million instead of, I was originally holding 6 million. And then I bought another 4 million, and then I sold 3 million. I got my money back and doubled it, by the way. So it was a good play. And then I'm holding 7 million instead of 6 million, which is what my original intent had been. So in the event that we get a nice little breakout, I'll have, I think 7 million tokens in BCB. But, my point is, I sold everything else. I sold my LFGO, and by the way, I appreciate being supported by communities and stuff like that. But you know, look, I don't have a bunch of people coming in and talking about LFGO every day. I don't have a bunch of people coming in talking about HISS every day. So I sold all these small bags. I sold my gummy. I sold all of these different. I sold all these different cryptos, and all I did was I just threw it all into Blocky, in the hopes that we'll get a nice little pump over there. So I put in, I want to say maybe another $1,000 to $2,000 into Blocky. And if it plays out to my advantage and we get a nice little pump off of it, I'm there for it. If it doesn't, I think it will, but if it doesn't, oh, you know, if it 2X's from where it is right now, you know, maybe we'll take out whatever we put in and we'll buy those other coins back or tokens back. But that remains to be seen. If I feel bullish about those projects, then we'll throw the money back in. We'll see where it goes. But I think this is a great opportunity, or at least I feel like it's a good opportunity. So anyway, what's going on there? Next up, can Bitcoin options expiry push the coin back to 100,000? Remember, we have buys set up. We haven't reached it right now. We still have where are we at here on our buys, which is we're gonna be down a lot today too. Yeah, we're down 50% on our OM. We might get liquidated on OM. We're down 36% on SWE. It is not doing very well at all. We're down $7 on Ondo. We're down $3 on XRP. We're up on our Bitcoin long. We still got some more open orders on Bitcoin. And then we've got our ETH. We're still up on our open orders. We have 3 of them right now for another buy on SWE if it goes down to 365. We got another one set for Solana if it goes down to 160 and we can visit that range. Then we've got another one for Bitcoin if it goes down to 100,000 and we can visit that range. So that, I think, in my opinion, is going to allow us to protect our positions from any further quote unquote catastrophic moves or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I do want to protect this position. I'm not sure. This could be a bad move, by the way. This could be a dangerous play, but I want to put in a little bit more skin on OM because I really feel like there's going to be a reversal. Okay. So we're going to throw that in. We're going to put 25 more onto that OM long. That'll reduce our liquidation price now 33.9. So fingers crossed that we get a nice little surge off of that. But ultimately, I think we're going to have a big run, right? But there's a lot weighing down on Bitcoin right now. A lot of money got made in the last couple of days, by the way. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with the markets. So we're having a conversation about why is it dipping and et cetera, et cetera. But it's really, I think we're really on the cusp of another breakout. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Well, actually, you know what? I'll show you right now. Right there. Global liquidity. This is the global liquidity. So we are still just moving along in this range. Like this is where we are. Remember, this is, these are the numbers that I would give you, right? This actually played out perfectly. We had a little bit of a dip. We had a little bit of a dip. We had another surge. We had another surge. Now we've got this, sideways action right here. This is all still coming. Like we're still looking at a big and continued move right now. And, look, we zoom out and we see that, we're not perfectly aligned, but we are very closely aligned with those markets right there. I think I have it offset by 82 days or something like that. So there's more room to go. And I do think that when we kind of line these up, we kind of put ourselves in that position where we're looking at, what's the range right here? Where are we? There's the top, there's the bottom, there's the flow. It all looks pretty close. It's all very, very close, right? So I think we got a surge continuing to come. So I'm going to stick with my 100,000 right now for whatever you guys, I don't know what you guys are doing, but we're going to buy again at 100,000 if we're fortunate enough to enter that range. I don't want to set anything up beyond that, but when we get to 109, when we get back to the all-time high, we're going to be looking to short. But at this point, we're not because it's 102. I want to see it break above and get towards 109. And then we'll take our profit at 106,000, and then we'll look to set something new up, and that will probably be a short. I don't know for sure if it'll be a long-term short. If we get this surge right here and we go up into the 109, 110 range, or 110, Jesus Christ, please get your shit together. If we get that surge and it looks like that and we get a nice little surge up to 110, I'm going to be looking to play this back down to 106 or so right there. That's that move on the global flow. So I think that's going to be important. I think we'll see that play out. So that's what we do with Bitcoin. Also, Ethereum as well attracts big money at critical inflection point. ETH bulls return. Now, Ethereum has had a magnificent run for the When you look at it and you start to, again, you're going to zoom out and look at the Bitcoin ETF for the last couple of days. We've had basically inflows. We had one outflow day, right? However, here's what's going on at Ethereum. Guess what? We've had inflow after inflow after inflow. Yesterday, Ethereum brought in 63 million. We're up to 2.55 billion in capital inflows on Ethereum, and we haven't even started cooking yet. Remember, this is about staking, and we don't have staking yet. So if you are buying Ethereum right now, you are making a good decision. Are you making the best crypto decision? I don't know about that, but I think everything right now is an okay decision in crypto, unless it's dead, unless it's a dead project. I think it's I think everything right now is a good decision. I think Ethereum is a really good decision. Is it the best? Again, I don't think so. I think that maybe we're going to lower our prediction from 10,000, maybe down to about 8,000 pretty soon if Ethereum doesn't really start to flex. So I'm going to be looking for that. And by the way, when you look at volume, guess what? Volume is off the charts. So Solana's volume is 4.5 billion. BSC is 3 billion. Ethereum is 2.75 billion. So there's a significant amount of volume every single day, 1.4 billion on the base chain as well. So a lot of transactions happening. And I think that's exactly what we need to see. Like, this is really, really, really important. I think we need to see a lot more of these kind of days here where we got all of that money just coming through the markets. That means that we're healthy, right? That means that we're healthy, and that we should have a continuation of the pump. So I'm waiting for that. But Ethereum now bringing in big money. First, the first 7.8 million tranche closed on May 14. BTCS Charles Allen personally participated in the round, likening the move to MicroStrategy's Bitcoin playbook. He emphasized that Ethereum is at a critical inflection point for its growth trajectory, exhibiting potential as both a core asset and a revenue engine through a validator rewards and block production. Ethereum spot ETFs saw a net inflow of 63 million on May 14, which was quite a turnaround after nearly 2 weeks of persistent outflows. And by the way, 3 out of the last 4 days were significant inflows. So we're starting to look at that capital rotation, and we're getting it in Ethereum. So, and don't forget, famously, Eric Trump around 3,400 said now is a great time to buy ETH. Now, was he right? No, he was not. If you bought when Eric Trump said so, you are way down. And if you're telling yourself, oh, I don't care, bro, I don't care, it's just, it'll go, if it comes down, it'll go back up. No, it's not about that. It's about you made a bad decision to follow somebody without looking at the charts and seeing that Ethereum was still weak, and you put yourself in a bad position. You shouldn't have done that. Or if you did that, should have DCA'd when it got down into the 14 and 1500 range. You'd be feeling really good about your position right now, or you'd be feeling a lot better about that position because you would have made out pretty well. I mean, you bought 5 ETH at 3,400. You bought 5 ETH at 1,500. You know, you split the difference, and that's about 2,450, and you're up now. You know what I mean? So it's all about DCA. It's all about putting yourself in a good position. Is the bull run over? No. Capital inflow still continues, so the bull run still continues. So, Ton-based NFT marketplace launches as a Telegram mini app. Now, I don't know anything about that, but I just wanted to bring that up there. And then I also wanted to point out something that's really got me, like, Wintermute expands to New York City and taps Ron Hammond amid a friendlier shift in the U.S. Do you guys remember who Wintermute is? That is the biggest Chinese asset manager. The office will open. Crypto market maker Wintermute is bringing on policy veteran. And by the way, they're located out of Hong Kong, but they're establishing a U.S. headquarter in New York City. And I gotta say, that's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be very, very interesting for a lot of different market making opportunities. Bitcoin, Ethereum. You know, I think we're going to see some market making start to happen over here. U.S. based. And by the way, this could be great for policy in the United States. So I don't want to shut the door on it yet, but it's a reason to be nervous, in my opinion. Okay. A reason to be nervous when you see Wintermute has entered the chat right there. Don't send your secrets about your attack vectors or anything, Pete Hegseth, if you happen to have Wintermute in your chat. Duh. Anyway, Devi, there's really it's just all it's doing is kind of rehashing right now where it's at. Dev Exchange time zero settlement. Settlement model isn't just faster, it's transformative, instant liquidity, lower cost with intermediaries, enhanced security via the DevX blockchain, built-in compliance for global reach, and true financial access for all. This is what next gen finance looks like. So again, a lot of hyperbole, but it hasn't matched up with announcements yet. Those two things will cross up with each other at some point pretty soon, and we'll see an explosive move from Dev. Okay, so I think it's almost inevitable. Now, also yesterday was the Dev roundup. There was nothing really in there that piqued my curiosity or got my attention in any way that we don't already have it. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see what it looks like ultimately. Again, I think they're kind of boxed into a corner where they're making money. They've already done everything they needed to do. They've gotten themselves set up perfectly and positioned very, very well. The problem being that, you know, they have to make an announcement with a partnership to pump their crypto, and they're not worried about their crypto at this point. And by the way, that's no disrespect. And I don't think anybody, if you're hearing that and you're like, oh my God, they're not worried about it. It's just not the priority. The priority is getting their functioning business up and working. And that comes from getting the exchange up and working. And that's the gem, and that's the revenue earner that they have to get going. When that's ready, when everything is a go, then, you know, things change fundamentally. So Devi, it's a great time to buy yourself a little bit. Also, get yourself some Coin, because if you don't, you might be crazy. Also, if you don't and you might be crazy and whatever, then remember, Blockchain Beauty's probably going to have a really good run as well. Now, of course, it launched and, you know, had a nice little run up, not multi-million run up, but look, CC Coin as the main focus right there. It was not going to have an explosive run. It could have an explosive run, but it was not going to start off with an explosive run. It just wouldn't make sense because you buy CC and you come through. And by the way, while that was happening, there was something with the programming of something somewhere. So, you know, what you saw the price of CC going down when people sold their Blockchain Beauty. It didn't make any sense for a little while, but you saw like it was pressed right there. I mean, it went from 4,000 down to 21 because the buys and sells, something wasn't adding up. And same person, by the way, same early buyer is the one that's been dumping off most of it. But again, if you look at Blockchain Beauties, there's something off on that. So you should still have some, because I think it's going to go absolutely crazy. We already talked about Blocky. Brad Garlinghouse, we're following him now. We want to, because he just had things. Love starting the day seeing my new friend Stu Alderati getting the public recognition he deserves for the amazing work he's done here at Ripple in support of the crypto industry. And that is because Stuart Alderati is now in the National Law Review. And they're giving a profile to Stuart Alderati, which is a great thing. I mean, this is one of those things where this type of exposure only gives you more credibility for cryptocurrency as a digital asset in the United States when a major institution like the National Law Review takes the time to interview and do a profile on one of the people who's leading the charge into the full legalization of digital assets in the United States and the framework and everything that goes into it. So shout out to Stu. He's putting in the work. So anyway, we're following Brad Garlinghouse. We'll see how that goes. As far as the rest of this goes, we've got the OM long. Hopefully we're going to see a reversal on it. We've got some downward momentum. SWE still looks like it's kind of getting weighed down a little bit. Market price is 367. Thought we would get a surge up to 4 or 5 or 6. A lot of this market is just kind of bottoming out, I want to say, or it feels like it's kind of bottoming out right now. We're down about 100 billion on the day. Dow is down 160. That's not a whole lot, but crypto down a lot more. So, question is, do we have a bounce area? Do we have a zone in which we would have a significant move? And I think the market's just kind of waiting for whatever that next step is. So maybe we'll see. Here's whoops, that's not the one that we wanted. We wanted the liquidation heat map. So if we zoom out here just a little bit, we're going to go to the 1 week and see if we get some success there. Still some money all the way down to 199,600, just kind of laying there for the take. So I would suspect that we're probably still going to be looking at some downward momentum. I don't know that it goes down this far into the 94, 93 range, but 93, 94,000, there's a lot of liquidity kind of sitting down here. So I think that, whales are incentivized to attack one another, and the attack vector right now, 92,800. So might be looking at some downward momentum. Again, we were 79,000 2 weeks ago. So who gives a shit if we go back down to 93? You know what I mean? That'll just be a nice opportunity for a bounce. And by the way, if it goes down to the bottom of this channel, oh my God, buy way more. Like that really, the bottom of this range usually leads to the top of that range. So if we get an opportunity to get back down into that 91, 92, 93,000 range, go long. And again, low leverage, but go long. It's going to be that's going to end up being a good day. So, yeah, XRP. I think that XRP, because everything is happening the way that it's happening, and everybody thinks that XRP is primed for a breakout, et cetera, that we're just looking at it and we're saying, well, then it should happen today, right? By the way, I have a new tool. It's called the Elliott Wave Lux Algo High Low, and it actually examines your charts and finds Elliott waves for you so that you can see how they played out and what they look like when they played out. So you might see it pop up on my screen every once in a while as I'm kind of like making my way through. Anyway, global liquidity flow is still in an uptrend. So whatever happens over here and whatever's happening right now, I don't think it's going to be long-lived. I think it's going to be pretty short-lived. We got the top up there. Let's close that. There's I guess when we look at it, then, the fib move probably pivot to pivot right there. There's probably some more downside to XRP, probably to 237, maybe down to 230. And then, the top of that range up there at 270 would be my next guess of where we go. So I'll be watching for a bounce, a strong bounce right there. Remember, by the way, the Fed is incentivized right now to start to help these markets and stop hurting them. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, 237 to 230, probably a good zone to set a buy and see how that plays out. Ethereum is down under 2,500. Remember, we set our buy there at 2,500. Hopefully, we're going to get a nice little surge. We got a surge up to 2,700. But again, I think I think we're headed up ultimately on Ethereum, that this correction was overdue. And by the way, when you look at it from this context and you look at the pivot, I guess, there, it is really not contracting at all. So 2,200 for Ethereum would be between 21.27 and 22.45, probably where I would be looking for a bounce. So 22.45 would be my spot for our playback up to 25.08. So set your buys around that area. June says, any thoughts on mystery? No real movement lately. Well, it's a mystery to me. I have no idea what mystery is. Let's go find out. It's a mystery. All right, so if this is it, then I mean, that just looks like that just looks like a crypto flatline from something that's barely even supported. I don't even know if it's supported anymore. Let's go to mystery. December 24, 4 hours ago. Own this book, The Night Riders. Okay, build. They're kind of active, but not really. Really, I think what they're trying to do for mystery, it looks like to me that they don't have a plan, and I think it will still pump. I'm just gonna take this as a guess, as like most of these other ones that you get 3 or 5x or something like that. What I would look at would be, can I get out right about here, which is going to be that's about 3x from where we are right now on mystery. If you can get your money back at 3x right there, then I would take it out, because I don't know that it would go higher than that. Now I could be wrong, be way wrong, but I mean, if I'm looking at a chart, that's what it's telling me. Now, Amish says there's something going on with Blocky. Blocky is getting some big buys coming in right now. There you go, starting to pay. If we get a nice little run of buyers continuing to step in, then great. Like, that's what we want to see. Want to see that all-time high get hit one more time. But it needs to go about 2x from that all-time high to, and by the way, not for nothing here, you're trying to establish at this point, if you're growing a project, you want to establish an investor confidence. The way that you establish investor confidence is you've got a baseline, you've got a floor, you got to have a surge up here, and then you got to have a move back down into this range to about 2x where you are, and create a new floor, right? If you added 100 new holders yesterday, and that's true, they added 100 new holders on Blocky yesterday. The problem with that is you're still holding the same floor that you were holding with 400 investors. So with 500 investors, that just means people are throwing a buck at something just to see what would happen. That's not how you build. That's kind of a trap mechanism, and I don't think that that's going to be, I don't think that's going to work. So a nice surge would be good. See a nice little surge happening over the next little while. Again, hit the top of that range, get like a breakdown, get into, where is it? Right there. Get into that level. 203. You kind of sit there at 203. You're going to have a 3 million market cap, be double where you are right now. That right there would start to show confidence, because what it would do is it would be recreating that floor, and it would be turning the floor into something higher. For a couple of days now, you've had tests right here on that floor. You don't want to see those tests on the floor. You want to see a test a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. When I zoom in, you might be able to look at it and say, well, it kind of looks like it's going higher. Well, it did, but also you had the move right here, went up, and then it went back down on the bottom. So hopefully this is the trend, which, by the way, you notice that's going up. So that's good. So, maybe you get a breakout, maybe you don't. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But along the way, the other one that we'll be watching for a big move, or a sign of a big move, is going to be Puff. Puff had a breakdown last night to about, 54, to about 2054. But remember, it broke out and it went above. So Altcoin Daily is going to be doing a video for it. And I think, by the way, remember Puff, TEMA at like 23 days. And by the way, that doesn't mean that on day 23 that Puff is going to absolutely take off, but it does mean that there's kind of a strategy that I think that they're using, and we'll see what that strategy looks like as we get to that spot. So maybe we'll see a big surge here. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But fingers crossed. All right, so Blockchain Beauty's down about 15% on the day. TARS AI down about 15 on the day. Fias down about 15 on the day. CC down about 13% on the day. Speedy down 10%. API3 down 10%. CC Rewards down 10%. Pepe down 7%. Trump down 7%. Devi down 3.5%. No one will know down 2.5%. Blocky, the only one having a move right now. So, might want to get yourself some Blocky, and You know, here's what I think that everybody should at least recognize right now, right there. Sell in May and walk away is always the idea, the smart idea. And are we trying to manifest right now a bull run into the summer as opposed to sell in May and walk away? Could it be that it's just too late and that now we've just got a couple more months of just dog shit movement? You know, I mean, I don't know. If I look at the money flow, regardless of what Derek says, if I look at the money flow and I come over here, I put this out now. Let's go look at that money flow. If I put the money flow out here and I look at it from this context, then I don't know what he's talking about. It doesn't make any sense. There has to be a flow here of upward momentum, because look at all the capital coming into this market. And by the way, it's just a yellow line, I know, but that is the way the capital flow is coming into the market. Okay. So if that's the case, then why wouldn't we take off to a much higher level? Why would that money for the first time ever completely skip crypto? And it won't. So we're going to get a big move. And look at this. This is the best illustration that I have for you. And it almost and by the way, remember, this is off 3 months. Okay. So there's going to be some fluctuation. There's going to be some variance. But if you look at it from this context and you say, well, look, this was our top over here. And again, I don't think that I have the days right. I think that there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 days differential here where it's offset. Like the offset right there is 78 days. If I set it by, let's see what 78 looks like. Yeah, so if I did it by 78 days right there, just to give you an idea, I'm not saying it is specific, but you know, when you move that to, there's your top right there, there's your secondary top right there, there's that big move right there. See how it just kind of didn't correspond right there, and then that ultimate move right there for the upward momentum, and then the sideways action, which we got. Then we got the upward momentum, boom. We got the sideways action over here. We got an upward momentum again. We got sideways consolidation and up. We got a dump coming right here, and then boom, it's about to spark, right? The money flow is still the money flow. So it's coming in, it's not leaving. So what we're watching right now is manipulation. We're looking at the chart, it's manipulating. And in fact, if we lean into it right now, guess what? The market even says that we're in a small correction right here, which is going to take us back down into 3.1, 3.2 trillion sort of range, maybe 3.1 trillion. So maybe another 100 billion comes out of this market. As long as we don't get liquidated, who gives a shit, right? It's just another buy opportunity, and we'll get a little bit more capital and we'll throw it back in, because the problem is this is coming too. That's the next surge, right? So this should be happening over the next day or two, and then boom, 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 boom. If we just consider it's going to run up through May, then we're going to see sell in May and walk away, right? Well, it would make sense right there, because up through June 13th, we had a downward momentum. And then boom, we had another spike going into the late part of June. Then we had another dump, and then we had another spike, which takes us into July. And then it goes sideways in July before investors or traders come back from maybe their summer months or anything like that. I don't know. But that's the way that it looks. So why fight it? Also, we're not making Luna Classic content for right now. I'm going to pivot to some other things that I've wanted to do for a while. You'll see it very quickly. I'm really kind of leaning into shorts. We're going to do a live stream here every day, and then maybe we'll do something later on at night. I don't know. It'll be pre-recorded if we do, because I have something to say at a later point during the day. But I think we're going to do a lot more shorts. I got a format. I got a little thing set up to start doing a lot more shorts. Probably not going to do anything for today and tomorrow, not taking the days off, just kind of getting ready for that next step. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be recording a lot of different shorts for the next, that I want to release over the next couple of weeks. I'm getting more engagement out of shorts than I am out of the long form content. And because of that, by the way, hit that like button on your way. And because of that, we're going to do a lot more shorts. And by the way, shorts are like 1 minute long. So if anybody wants to do promo stuff on shorts, then it's only going to be a lesser amount. So there we have it. All right, guys, that's it. That's the stream. I'm gonna go work out, get my swole on. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Remember, XRP, this whole market is set to explode. It's just a matter of time. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.